Hello, so this week you all have been working on the solving the quadratic equation using the quadratic formula, and that's going to be chapter 10, section 3. So I wanted to go over it with you just to make sure that you're feeling comfortable with it. And the first thing I would like to do is go ahead and go through the derivation of how we come up with that quadratic formula that you will be using. Some of you may have already taken a look at it, but I just want to go ahead and go over it with you one more time. So we have our quadratic equation that's always in this form of ax plus bx plus c is equal to 0. Okay, and then we magically, or at least it sometimes seems like we magically come up with the final quadratic formula. So our quadratic formula is going to be this x is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a. So some of you may have read in the book, may have seen in another video how we get to this formula, but I want to go ahead and go over it with you just so that you can become more comfortable with it. So our goal is to always solve for x. And so there's some things that we need to start out with. So we have the starting equation of the ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. And so what we first want to do is get this x squared by itself. And in order to do that, we need to divide everything, both sides of the equation, divided by our a, because we need to get that a so it's no longer part of next to that x. So obviously when we do that, our a's cancel and we're left with x squared plus bx over a plus c over a, and 0 divided by a is still going to be our 0. So again, we need to isolate this x squared. That is our overall goal, is to get this x squared by itself. So we're going to start by subtracting the CA from both sides. So if I subtract CA from this side and subtract C over A from this side, I'm going to come up with x squared plus bx over A is now equal to negative C over A. And I need to be able to, this is getting closer to looking like something I can factor. So I need to complete the square to make this be factorable. So what I need to do is I need to take the b term, and the b term is now the b over a, right? So my b term is equal to, so I'm going to put the b term kind of in quotes, so you know it's kind of in quotes. It's now equal to b over a, okay? Because that's all that's in front of that x that is in that bx position, okay? So I have b over a. So what I need to do is I need to divide that term in half and square it. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to divide it by 2, and then I want to square it, okay? And so that's going to give me this b over 2a squared, okay? And that is going to go into this position where the c term used to be. So now what I'm going to do, because we always have to do the same thing to both sides, is I'm going to add this b over 2a squared term to both sides. So let me change color so you can see it a little better. So I'm going to add b over 2a squared, and I'm going to add b over 2a squared to this side. So my equation now looks like this. I have x squared plus bx over a plus b over 2a squared is equal to negative c over a plus b over 2a squared. So I now want to go ahead and factor this side over here. And then I want to go ahead and simplify this side over here. We want to get it as simplified as possible. So when I'm factoring, my b term is going to be the b over 2a. So I'm going to have x plus b over 2a squared. That's going to be the factor of this trinomial over here, and that is going to equal a negative c over a plus b squared over 4c squared. Sorry, I apologize, that's not a c, that's an a, 4 over a squared. I can't read my own writing, okay? So I have x plus b over 2a squared is going to equal negative c over a plus b squared over 4a squared, okay, because I squared that term there. So I need to find my common denominator for my right side. And I have an a here and I have a 4a squared here. So I need to multiply the top and the bottom of this by 4a over 4a. That'll give me my common denominator. So I'm going to have this x plus b over 2a squared is going to equal negative 4ac, because I multiply the 4a times the negative c, over 4a squared plus b squared over 4a squared. So I want to combine these terms to get them all on the same, over the one denominator. So I'm going to have x plus b over 2a squared is equal to, and I'm going to rearrange this just because I like to have the positive come first. So I'm going to say b squared minus 4ac all divided by 4a squared. Now I'm working to get this x by itself. So I'm going to take the square root of both sides. So I take the square root of both sides. The square root is going to give me x plus b over 2a is equal to the square root. So remember, I'm going to put that plus or minus sign because we always have the plus or minus of b squared minus 4ac. And it's going to be divided by, and I can take out a 2a. So I can take that square root of 4 and 2. That's going to give me the 2a. Okay. Next up, I want to move this b over 2a over. So I'm going to subtract b over 2a from both sides. Minus b over 2a. So I have now solved, and I have my x is equal to, I'm going to rearrange this a little bit just so I like that it's the way it's written. I have negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. I can now use this formula in order to solve any of my problems. So let's go ahead and take a look at an example problem for that. So let's take a look at, we're just going to pick one of the problems that we would like to do. So I'm going to do this 8r is equal to 2 minus 5r squared. Okay? The first step I need to do is get this into that proper form of ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0 in order for me to solve. So I'm going to do this simply by subtracting my 8r over from both sides. So I'm going to say a minus 8r from both sides. And I'm going to rearrange it so I put everything in order. So I have negative 5r squared minus 8r plus 2 is equal to 0. So my a is equal to a negative 5. My b is equal to a negative 8, and my c is equal to a 2. Remember, the negative signs need to stay with the number. So I have a negative in front of the 5, so it has to keep it as a negative 5. we're subtracting 8r, so that means my b is a negative 8. So I'm going to plug it into the equation. So I have x is equal to negative b, which is going to be a negative times a negative 8, plus or minus the square root of negative 8 squared minus 4 times a negative 5 times c, because that's a 4ac, all divided by 2 times a, which is a negative 5. So I'm going to continue. I have x is equal to a negative, and a negative gives me a positive 8 plus or minus the square root of 64. I have a negative 4 times a negative 5 gives me a positive 20 times 2 gives me a positive 40, so plus 40, divided by negative 10, because 2 times negative 5 gives me that negative 10. Continuing on, I have x is equal to 8 plus or minus the square root. 64 plus 40 is going to give me 104 divided by negative 10. Now I know that this is not going to be a perfect square. Okay, so I know it's not going to be a perfect square. So this is where I'm going to grab my calculator, and you all can too. And I'm going to start small. I'm going to divide it by 104 divided by 4. And that gives me 26, okay? And I can know as I'm dividing, so 26 divided by 2. So let me just do this real quick over here for you. If I have 104 divided by 4, that's going to give me 24 is going to give me a 26, okay? I know if I divide 26 divided by 2, it's going to give me a 13. There isn't any square root there. So I know when I factor this, I'm going to have x is equal to 8 plus or minus the square root of 4 times 26 all over a negative 10. I can pull out that 4, so I can take out the 4, so I have x is equal to 8 plus or minus 2, the square root of 26 over negative 10. And I want to simplify this further, so I have x is equal to, I can factor out a 2, so 2 times 4 plus or minus the square root of 26 divided by negative 2 times 5. My 2's will cancel. I'm going to go ahead and just put the negative in front. So I have negative 4 plus or minus the square root of 26 divided by 5. And that is my answer for the solution for this problem. If you have any questions, remember I'm always around to help. Feel free to reach out. I hope this helps. Have an excellent day.